This is Dr. Jennifer Jansen from the Zepf Center. You're listening to JJ's Clinical Connection, connecting you to clinical topics. Welcome back. Today we're talking about a little-known issue that impacts countless young people in our community, youth homelessness. This November, we're celebrating Youth Hope Month and taking the time to raise awareness for youth experiencing homelessness while highlighting the resources that provide security, support, and hope to young people in our community. In this episode, we'll be discussing Zepf Center's youth services, specifically our 24/7 Safety Net Homeless Shelter and our Street Outreach Program, as well as our trauma-informed youth crisis services. To guide us through this conversation, we're joined by Director of Youth Services Andrea Murdock and Street Outreach Program Manager Jennifer Ballard. Together, we'll discuss the reality of youth homelessness in our community and how Zepf Center services strive to meet the growing needs of this population. We'll also learn more about the day-to-day experiences of youth staying in our shelter, available resources, and how compassion, connection, and care can change lives. Let's get into it. Well, thanks for joining us today. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves to our listeners and telling them a little bit about your role here at Zepf Center?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Ballard, and I am the Street Outreach Manager at Zepf Center. My role is I'm the Outreach Manager. I've been here for about 6 years, working at Safety Net. Over the past 6 months, I've been a Street Outreach Coordinator. I was previously the Safety Net Coordinator, and here I am.
Hi, and I'm Andrea Murdock. I'm the Director of Youth Services. So I oversee Safety Net and our outreach program. I've been at Zepf Center for almost 3 years, and my entire time at Zepf Center has been in these two programs.
Well, wonderful. Let's start by explaining the difference between the Safety Net shelter and the Street Outreach Program.
Yeah. So Safety Net is our runaway and homeless youth shelter. It's for ages 12 to 17. It is a 24-hour facility, so youth come to Safety Net to stay in place of staying at a home or staying anywhere else in the community. It is an overnight facility, so we do have them as their it's their living environment. And then our outreach program is more of a tool that we use to spread our information out into the community. It also allows us to interact with youth in the community. We do canvassing so we can meet the youth where they're at, and we kind of give them some information about Safety Net and about Street Outreach. We also offer a drop-in center for Street Outreach, and that is also a place where youth can come in, but they can leave right away. So they usually come in for meeting their basic needs, like a shower, a hot meal, a food box, hygiene products, access to services. But it's more of like a one-stop shop instead of a place where they would stay overnight, which is what the shelter is.
And how do youth get access to these services?
They can get access to Safety Net many different ways. They can come straight up to the door if they know about the program and they're looking for a safe haven. You know, some youth are looking for somewhere safe while they're trying to figure out what their next steps are. So they can come straight up to the door. We also have partners in the community. We work with children's services, juvenile court, schools, first responders, anybody that might be identifying kids that might need our services. They can reach out to Safety Net via our telephone number. Some of them even have an inquiry form that they can fill out and send to us to see if Safety Net's the right placement. So there's a lot of different ways. And then Street Outreach also, when they are in the community, they're leaving our flyers places. So they're giving the information out in the community for the youth. So if there is a time where they see the flyer and they're like, oh, I need somewhere safe to be, they can pull a tab and it has our location and our phone number, and our staff can help them get to us.
I think this might be a topic that some people aren't truly familiar with. And when we're talking about homeless youth in our community, how large is this problem in Lucas County?
So It is a really large problem. What the difficult problem is to narrow down exactly how many, because homelessness is something that is not recorded very well. So at TPS's McKinley-Vento program, they reported that there were over 800 students at TPS that were identified as homeless, but that's only the ones that they know of. And then the safety net shelter, last year we had over 200 youth come through the shelter. So again, that's 200 youth, but we know there's a lot more out there. So it's really hard to narrow down exactly how many that are in the community, but it is a very large population and a lot of them are not identified.
When we're talking about homeless and at-risk youth, tell us a little bit about who this population is. What does it look like?
Yeah, so when you're talking about homeless youth, there's a federal definition that is straightforward for homeless youth, and that is ages 12 to 21. But then there's also a definition for homeless youth that HUD uses that is 14 to 24. So the wide range is pretty out there. So we serve 12 to 24 because we serve the whole population. So the safety net shelter is just 12 to 17 because it's only for youth, but our street outreach program we serve that 14 to 24. So when you talk about youth, you might think it's, not an adult under the age of 18, but we go as far as that 24, that transitional youth age, because that's really where a lot of services are needed, because the community and society say 18, you're an adult, but you're still in school. You haven't learned the skills that you need to survive on your own. If you can imagine being 18, very few of us would be able to be living on their own. So that transitional youth age, that, 18 to 24 is where a lot of our time is focused in our street outreach program and in our drop-in center services, because that's really where they need to learn those skills to be able to survive on their own. So it is a pretty wide range of ages, and we try to help everybody that we can.
So at the drop-in, we see a lot of young adults who are 18 to age 22. We try to provide, resources. We talk to them. We see what services they need. A lot of them are locked out because they don't have a place to stay. They turn 18 and the parents may not have agreed with their lifestyle and they found themselves homeless. A lot of them are, they don't have the financial stability. They don't have the resources. They don't know how to find a job. They don't know how to fill out a resume. They just need assistance. So we find a lot of them at the shelter. And a lot of them are just word of mouth. Their friends told them about the program, and then they've come and then they're telling their friends. So we get a lot of our clients through word of mouth as well.
And when you're talking about demographics, the type of youth that we see all different types of demographics. I would say it's probably about 50-50 when it comes to boys and girls. The shelter probably does see more females than males, but our street outreach program sees way more males than females. Don't have an answer for that, but that's just kind of what the trend's been. We also are inverted. So what Lucas County, the population is historically more Caucasian versus African American and minorities, but our shelter's inverted. So we see more minorities and an African American population than we do a Caucasian population. So there is risk out there with the different demographics, and we do serve anybody that comes through our doors, anybody that needs help for whatever reason. We serve everybody.
What are some common reasons that youth find themselves without a safe place to stay?
I would say most of the reasons are parent conflict, neglect, abuse, safety concerns, financial instability are several reasons.
We also get youth that come to the shelter that are identified at risk for human trafficking or have been human trafficked. And Jen is actually one of the people that we have trained to work with those youth. So she has a special qualification as a PATH coordinator that she got through the University of Toledo Human Trafficking and Social Justice Institute. And she does great work with youth that are identified. We have a screener that identifies these youth so they can stay at safety net while whatever services need to be put in place. And some of those could be legal services if it is a tough case.
Jen, can you tell us a little bit more about the PATH coordinator and the certification that you hold for kids that might be at risk for being human trafficked?
Okay, PATH is Partnering Against Human Trafficking. It's a program provided through the University of Toledo. So when our youth come into Safety Net Shelter, we do a screening tool, which flags us if they're at high risk for being human trafficked. So if they meet the qualifications for that screening, then I'll receive the referral. And then I'll contact the guardian or the parent or the youth or the young adult and see if they are interested in receiving our services. Once they agree to receive services, I meet with them, I educate them, give them information on, basically just give them information about human trafficking. And then they can receive an incentive if they agree to participate in the program.
That might be another topic that our listeners might not be as familiar with either, that we do have a crisis with human trafficking here in Lucas County, and many of that does involve youth.
Yes, it does. A lot of our victims are youth. They find themselves in unsafe situations because a lot of our youth are experiencing abuse at home. They're being neglected. They're trying to find someone that they can build a relationship with. And most of the time, they don't know that these relationships are not good for them. A lot of times, they're being groomed by older individuals who, they may not be aware that they're even being groomed. So,
yeah, it's a huge piece of them not being aware that they're being groomed, because it's something as simple as, hey, will you do this favor for me and I'll buy you those new tennis shoes that you want? And that's where you're really going to see it when it comes with youth. And then it just escalates. When people think of human trafficking, they probably think of exploitation sexually, and it's not always that. A lot of it is familial trafficking or labor trafficking. A lot of it is to get youth to go do something for them because they know the youth's not going to get in trouble, whether that's, to rob a convenience store. They know the youth will get away with it more than an adult will. So they'll say, hey, go get X, Y, and Z from that pharmacy down there, and I'll give you this iPad that you're looking at. So that's really what it comes down to with youth, and it happens really frequently, unfortunately, with our population.
Yes, and another issue is that a lot of our youth who are being human trafficked are they're Lucas County Children's Services foster care children or children who are running away from the system. So a lot of people aren't checking for them. So they're just out here and they're being taken advantage of. They're being groomed. They're being exploited. They can be exploited for their time. They can be exploited for their resources, just for information. They can be used in all type of ways. And I kind of just bring an awareness and let them know how, this is a healthy relationship, this is an unhealthy relationship, and just kind of giving them boundaries so they can identify what's good and what's not good for them.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about youth homelessness?
I would say one of the biggest misconceptions are that the youth are homeless and they're staying outside. Most of our youth are couch surfing, and I say youth are very resourceful, so they'll find different places to go and stay. If they're staying with their friends, their mom, if they're staying at the library, sometimes they can stay in their car. Most of the time, they're just attaching themselves to people who are stable. So sometimes you can see them getting into unsafe relationships, toxic relationships, just being in places they probably shouldn't be and are at risk for human trafficking and other things like that.
I would say another misconception is that they might have chose to run away, but sometimes it's not a choice. It's, they're trying to stay as safe as possible, and they know where they're at is not safe. So even if it is putting themselves in another unsafe situation, like living with someone that they shouldn't be living with, that they've chosen is more safe than being in whatever environment that they were currently in. So they're super resourceful, and they're going to figure it out. And a lot of times they're just making the best decision that they can, and they're a product of whatever's happened to them.
Can you walk us through the day-to-day experience of a youth who might be staying at Safety Net?
So when the youth come into Safety Net, first we do assessments with them to see what kind of mental health support we can offer them. Because, we are part of Zepf Center, so we have lots of different things that we can work on them with. So along with that, we want to make sure they also stay in school. So if they are in school during the day, they'll go to school. If they're not in school, we'll work with TPS's McKinley-Vento program to enroll them in school, because we want to make sure that they're staying as stable as possible, because when they're at Safety Net, they are going through a crisis. So we want to give them all the supports that they can. When they're at the shelter, we're working in groups and individually. We do psychoeducation groups with them. We also do life skill groups with them, because we want to make sure they have the skills to survive on their own. Unfortunately, a lot of the youth that come through Safety Net, this is not a problem that's going to go away from that for them. We see a lot of them return when they're 18 or 19 in our street outreach program where they need some more help because they are considered adults. So we want to make sure that they have those skills. So we'll teach them to cook. We'll teach them to do their laundry, to clean their room, all the things that most of us do daily. Sometimes they haven't been taught how to do those skills and how important it is to keep those skills up and, learn how to operate, in a house. So we work on them with that. And then every once in a while we'll go on outings. So I know coming up is the tree lighting downtown for ProMedica. So we'll probably take them to that. And we just do a lot of things in the community to try to keep their spirits up.
Great. What resources and supports does Safety Net and Street Outreach provide to youth?
For Street Outreach, we provide resources as far as the Goodwill, Toledo-Lucas County Homeless Board, connecting them to referrals for housing, access to mental health, Cherry Street Mission, just helping them get the things that they need to survive, like a birth certificate or identification card, helping them with case management, like maybe they need access to transportation, giving out bus passes, supporting them with encouraging words, just helping them with anything that they need help with. We'll try to make it happen.
Yeah, Safety Net is pretty similar. We'll figure out what they need and help provide whatever access it is to that. A lot of times at Safety Net, it's more working with the whole family. So if it is truly a homeless family where the youth are in Safety Net and the adults are in an adult shelter, we'll work with 211 and we'll work with whatever providers are a part of their case to help provide wraparound services so that we can get them into either a family shelter together or stable housing, whatever comes first.
Tell us a little bit about how your team interacts with Zepf Center's crisis services and specifically our new Our Haven Youth Crisis Stabilization Unit.
Well, if we have a youth who comes to outreach and they're not doing well with their mental health or they're in a crisis, we will connect with crisis emergency services and kind of get them an assessment and see if they are good to come into their program. So that's how we do it at outreach.
Yeah, so Safety Net works really closely with Crisis in Our Haven. So really it's about figuring out what the youth needs. So if they come into the shelter and they are experiencing some type of mental health crisis, we'll get them evaluated for Haven first, just to see if that is the proper place for them. And if it is, then they'll go the Haven route. If not, they'll come into Safety Net and then we'll keep monitoring. Safety Net, we do have a therapist. So she does do risk assessments every once in a while to see if a youth should go onto the unit. We're in constant communication with them just to make sure that we're providing the best care for the youth that come to Zepf Center. We also work with the Haven if they have a youth on the unit and they're stabilized and they're ready to be discharged and they're having a hard time for whatever reason in going home. They might come to Safety Net and then Safety Net might take over on that exit planning to work with the family or children's services or whatever that looks like to get the youth home.
What makes our approach to youth care different from other programs?
I would say we provide so many things for youth that it's wonderful to be able to provide whatever support the youth needs. Our continuum of care for youth is very large and we're able to provide whatever support the youth needs. So if a youth is coming into Safety Net and they need linked with mental health services, we'll work with the mental health youth department and we'll work with therapy and case management and get them linked. We have primary care now. So if they don't have a primary care doctor, we work with primary care to get them linked to primary care. If they need crisis services, we will get them hooked up with Haven or psychiatric urgent care. We've had youth go to psychiatric urgent care to get evaluated while they're at Safety Net. So Zepf Center provides so many different things that we're really able to provide whatever support they need. And then we also have partnerships in the community so we can help them, with the schooling. We can help them with trying to get a job. So we're able to really help the youth with whatever. And it's great to be able to provide all those services in one location.
Jen, I know you see a lot of these kids firsthand. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with how you connect with them through the services we offer.
So I connect with the youth by just being myself, meeting them where they are, just treating them like they matter and they're important and that they are special. And I ask them what do they need assistance with, and just kind of build a rapport where they can trust me. So helping them just with whatever they need. A lot of people come in, they need help with just food, having food available, giving them food out of our pantry, mental health services, linking them to mental health where they can get an assessment, removing barriers. So I also help the youth with the parks application, and I'm so excited because a few of our youth have been accepted into the park apartments, which is housing for transitional youth ages 18 to 24. And that's a success. So I help them with case management, finding housing, getting a job, finding employment, and just becoming stable and getting their lives on the right track.
I imagine young people don't always know what to ask for, and there may be a level of information you provide to help guide them down the right path for resources as well.
Yes. A lot of kids, they don't know what to look for. They don't know what they need help with, or they know, but they don't know how to access it. So I just kind of, evaluate where they need help at and just help them, connect them with the resources or connect them with the right programs or the people that can help them.
Yeah, when they come into the drop-in center, they fill out, we call it an application, but it's just a small form that kind of helps us guide what they need. And part of that is, do you have an ID? Do you have a social security card? Do you have a birth certificate? Because they don't realize how important those documents are. And Jen has done a great job with these park apartment applications, but there's so many barriers with this application. It is so many pages long, and they need all of those documents, and they have to have all of these things put in place, these things signed and all of this, and they don't know any of that. So it's hours of work to fill out one application, and being able to identify the things that they need to start that process right away is really important. So we kind of have a checklist that we go through to be like, okay, what do we need to do with you first? And those things are on it. And Jen does a great job with that on the first or second meeting with them, because she's asking these questions and they're like, no, I don't have that. And she's like, well, you need that if you want housing. It's important. So we need to figure it out.
How do we help youth transition from homelessness or crisis to stability and long-term success?
I would just say being available, being supportive, being there when they need us. Just encourage them if they're not coming to the drop-in, reaching out, calling their phones, going to where they may be, which they may be at the LRC, they may be at the libraries, they may be at Uptown Park, just finding them where they are and say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, you need to come back, and so we could finish what we started. Just being that support system and letting them know, hey, you may got off track, you may veered off track, but I'm here to help you get back on track. So come back to the drop-in.
So when it comes to the shelter, we really try to work on family reunification, and that's a big thing to helping provide stability for the family and for the youth so that they feel supported at home. And a lot of it starts with the parents first, because for whatever reason, there is some instability at home where the youth might have to be at safety net because of either unsafe situations or not having the supports at home. So we really try to link them with services that are going to support that, because we know we can't be there in the home with them, but we can connect them to programs that can help them so that they're able to have that support at home, so we don't see those kids again. Because if we don't see them again at safety net, that's a good thing. And so we just try to help the family as a whole, because that's where it really is when it comes to youth, is we really need to help provide that support for the family so that they can feel like they can do it on their own.
Yes, and I also like to help our clients with just setting up an appointment and talking to them about the importance of having a therapist, or, going to see your psychologist, just being consistent, going to your appointments, taking your medication. All of these things are helping you with your mental health, and it's going to help you stay stable and make you feel good about yourself, and it's going to help you stay on track.
How do partnerships with schools, law enforcement, and other agencies help support youth who are in crisis?
So those relationships, with the Toledo-Lucas Public Library and the LRC, they help us identify our clients. So if they see a youth or young adult who may be having trouble, or they may tell them, they may share some personal information with them, I'm not going back home, or I had this issue, and then they give us a call, and we're able to go out and do outreach and meet the youth where they are and ask them like, hey, what's going on? What kind of help do you need? How can I support you? How can I help you? So those relationships are vital because they are the link to us connecting with the client.
And we do, I would say yearly, sometimes it's more frequent than that, presentations to police officers, first responders, schools, any agency in the community that might be interacting with youth that are in crisis, so that they know our services are available, so they know what our services look like and what the youth can expect when coming into our services, and just to give them an opportunity to ask us questions as well. So we try to keep those partnerships strong by having those presentations yearly, and they look different depending on where we're having them and who the audience is, because sometimes there's not a lot of staff turnover at places, so it's more of like a touch base, but then sometimes no one knows what we're doing, so we have to give them all the ins and the outs. So it's really keeping those partnerships strong so that they know what's out there for the youth. And when we do these presentations, we talk about Zepf services for youth in general, so we tell them about the shelter and about outreach, but we also talk about crisis and MRSS and PUC and all of those things that they might need to know when they're interacting with youth, because it's all important for them to have the right services.
Yes, and street outreach canvases on Tuesdays and Thursday. We're going to the Cherry Street Missions Life Revitalization Emergency Services. We're setting the table there during their lunch hour. And like Andrea said, we have flyers out. We have resources available, not only for young adults, but adults. I get a lot of adults who come to our table and ask questions like, hey, how can I get my medication started again? How can I get a doctor? How can I receive services? I need help. So just having those relationships where we can go into their environment and just meet the people where they are is also a help.
How do your experiences shape the way you approach care and advocacy for youth?
I just kind of try to think about when I was 20 or when I was 19 or 18 and what I needed at that time. And I just kind of take it from there. And also working with youth within the past 6 years, knowing what they needed help with, knowing what they needed, So that was that's what helps me.
So before I worked at Zepf Center, I have different experiences working with different populations of youth in different environments. And I feel like that's helped me work with our youth because I can kind of understand the different situations that they might be in. I used to work in a school, so I understand like what it is for them, what it looks like for them to be at school in a school environment and might needing some of these supports. I used to run childcare and day camps, so I know what it looks like within those type of situations. So being able to pull from past experiences working with youths in different environments has been very helpful because, sometimes youth, when we see them, we only see them where they're at in that moment, but being able to like have a little bit of a background knowledge of like what different experiences they might have outside of their home life has really helped like connect and help be able to like even offer support outside of safety net.
What role can the community play in preventing youth homelessness?
I feel the role the community can play is just supporting youth, being a village. If you see a youth in need, just giving encouraging words, providing donations, being a light in a youth life. Just your small words can mean a lot to a youth.
Are there ways community members can get involved?
So the community can get involved in a few different ways. We always run donation drives every now and then, but we take donations whenever. So we have a clothing closet that is always in need. We specifically always need undergarments for youth because that's something that we don't reuse and we like new. So we like to give those to the youth when they come to us. But we also need like loungewear. When the youth stay at us, they want to feel comfortable. So we go through a lot of sweats. We go through a lot of leggings. Those type of things. Hygiene products while they're with us. Obviously, they use hygiene products, and then we also let them take hygiene products with them as well. Some of the youth come to us with only what they're wearing, so we like to let them leave with some items. So we're always going through different basic needs.
Well, Zepf Center's tagline is "Hope begins here." What are some powerful moments of hope that you see every day working with these young people?
Some powerful moments of hope I see is when I see a youth light eyes light up and when they receive their ID card, or when they overcome a barrier like getting accepted into housing, and they have the reality of, well, they don't have to be homeless anymore. They don't have to couch surf. They don't have to be under someone else's rules. Street Outreach has a YAB, which is a Youth Advocacy Board. We have a few youth from Street Outreach who are on our Youth Advocacy Board. We recently had a meeting with the mayor at the mayor's office, and it was exciting to see because their eyes sparked up. Like, I like this feeling. I like how I'm in the mayor's office. This seems like something I would be interested in going into, just learning law and learning politics, just giving them opportunities where they can envision a different space for themselves.
Can you talk about a success story that sticks out to you and really shows the impact of these programs?
So when we're working with youth at Safety Net, a lot of what we define as a success is being able to reunify youth with family. So we have a lot of different ways that happens. One of the most recent things that has happened is we had a sibling set come to Safety Net, and their situation with their guardian that they were currently living with was not a great one for them. It was not a safe place for the youth. It was not a safe place for the guardian. They weren't able to come together. But what we were able to do is we were able to identify someone else in the family that was more than happy to take the siblings. They hadn't seen them in a couple of years, and they were excited to know that they could help. So we actually worked with the Runaway Safe Line, which they will provide transportation for youth across state lines if needed. So we identified grandparents in Mississippi, and our shelter manager, Charles, did a wonderful job coordinating that process with the grandparents in Mississippi and with the Runaway Safe Line to get these youth on a Greyhound bus and take them to their grandparents, who were more than happy to take them. So those are just some of the things that we can do as the shelter. We want to make sure that they're going to be in a place where they're loved and they're cared for and they're given all the tools to succeed. And that might not be the situation that they're currently in. So we have to think outside the box. So that's one of those situations that is just a feel good moment that we were able to provide that, because how else were they going to first even contact their grandparents, because they didn't have their phone numbers, and then get there. So we were able to help provide that service. Other great success stories are when we're also working with the families as a whole. And unfortunately, Lucas County's wait list for family shelters is always long. So there's always these times where the youth have to be at Safety Net and the guardian is either in an adult shelter or sleeping in their car or sleeping somewhere that's not safe for youth. So when those things happen, we work really quickly with 211 to get them on a list for family housing together in a shelter so that they can be reunited. So we currently are going through a couple situations like that right now where we're trying to get them in as quickly as possible. And we've really built those partnerships with those family shelters so we can call them and be like, hey, we have someone on your wait list. As soon as you have something available, please, notify us so we can get our kids and their adults in your shelter so that they can be together.
So a success story is our clients, they were accepted into their park apartments. We have 2 clients and they were pretty excited about it. So that's a success story for me, just seeing how happy they were in them overcoming, the thought of this will never happen, the thought of doubt, like they're never going to have their own place. They're going to just be in this situation forever. So I was happy to see that.
Clearly, the passion that the two of you have is very evident for helping at-risk youth in our community. What message do you want listeners to take away from this episode during Youth Hope Month?
I think it's important for listeners just to take in all of the information. A lot of the services that we talked about today might be new to you. So really just understand that this is a need in our community, that these youth are out here, they need support, and really all we can do is connect with them and provide whatever that they need so that they have stable housing and they feel stable and they have a safe place. Safety Net at its core, that's what we are. We are a safe place for youth to go when they need one. So just being aware of our services and, trying to help us spread the message, because that's a hard thing in this community. Is there's a lot of different programs out there for youth. So just knowing that ours is one of them and that we're here and we can help. And if you ever have any questions, calling the shelter and talking to a staff member can talk through situations with you. Like if you have seen a youth at the library and you don't think that there's any guardian with them and they look like they need help, call us. We can 100% talk through a situation with you. We can send an outreach staff out to see if it's something that they might need support with. So just trying to help us connect to the kids in the community and really supporting them in these situations.
My message that I would like listeners to take with is that we're all a community. Your child is my child. Your child is his child, and however it goes. But just to know that we are all a community. We all need to provide support for our youth, regardless of background, ethnicity, culture. We're all one, and we need to take better care of our neighbor. I think by just providing support, if you have extra money, providing donations, providing resources, providing information, knowledge, giving them wisdom, whatever that looks like, just trying to be an inspiration and a light of our youth, because a lot of them are in dark places and spaces, and you never know, your words may encourage them to change.
Well, Andrea and Jen, I want to thank you today for coming and having this conversation with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us to celebrate Youth Hope Month and tuning into this inspiring conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to download and share it. For the latest clinical connections, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. For more information about Zepf Center's Safety Net Youth Shelter and other resources mentioned in this episode, check out our show notes. For more information on Zepf Center, visit us at zeffcenter.org or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next time, take care and keep building connections that inspire hope. This is Dr. Jennifer Jansen, signing off.